And just a quick thing, and we'll mention this in a minute. Any questions you might have, go ahead and put those into the chat questions, and we'll answer those at the end.
And if you do, for some reason, have to leave early, this will be recorded and put up on our website later tonight or tomorrow morning.
So we invited mostly all of our iDocument clients, but quite a few you already have some of our products. Our Merge product, iMerge, our Outlook add-in for connecting to iMIS from Outlook, iEmail. Our National Change of Address product, iMove, the ability to close meetings and reopen them. Meeting Closer, our Freight Rate Importer. Easiest import tool out there for importing into iMIS, iImport. Latitude and Longitude brought into iMIS, and then coming shortly, the ability to do IQAs where you can put in a zip code and it'll give you people within a range of that, and that's going to be part of iMap coming soon. Activity Importer Plus, creating activities on the fly or creating activities via an IQA. Our online donation tool. Page Filter, great product for editing public view and Rise sites, for making those quick little changes you need to do. So we've seen a lot of people doing these in other countries for things that they need to hide for privacy reasons. Very powerful tool. Our profile editing tool. Fundraising Made Easy, created for our fundraising clients so they can make changes after a batch is posted. And of course, iDocument, which is why we're here. So we're going to cover the history of iDocument, why we created and how we created it, what's been added, what's new, and then really the focus. What's some best, how do we see people using this product? What have we seen out there? Why have we made changes to the product and whatnot? How you can get the latest version, how you can get help if you get stuck, and any questions and answers will follow up at the very end. So iDocument turned 1 year old, I believe last month. We created iDocument. It was actually an internal tool that we used to use. And we had an intern about 10 years ago. We said, you know, iMIS user-defined tables are, you know, they're great and everything, but they have prompts on them, so we don't know the underlying field names. And wouldn't it be great if we could print something out that told people, here are your tables in iMIS, and here are the field names, so you could develop your own Crystal or SSRS reports. Or at that time, we were also using it for data conversion. So we'd use it for data conversion to help people map their data, and we also used it for to help people write their own reports to make them self-sufficient, if at all possible. And then somewhere along the way, Lana Trent, who works for CSI, said, you know, why don't we just open this up to everybody and make it into a full product? And as usually happens, you realize that what you thought was a product isn't even close. So iDocument was born. We spent a lot of time on it, and we just went through another incredible round of changes for it. It's 1 year old. It's cranking. We've got 22 people using it today, and it's rocking. So why did we create it? There's no place to document your iMIS. There's no central repository for all of your iMIS setup information. And by setup, we mean your activities, your user-defined windows, your business objects, your IQAs, reports, tables, views, stored procedures, functions, jobs. You might have a Word document out there, but if you do, the data changes on a regular basis, and you're probably not opening that Word document and updating it. And then even if you do have a Word document, what if you wanted to change it while one of your staff wanted to change it as well? So we need multiple people to be able to update the data at the same time. And then you got to be able to find it. If that Word document's on your PC, no one's going to be able to find it. It needs to be in a place that everyone can get to it. They know where it is. And then finally, what we've seen a lot lately is the iMIS guru at your organization leaves. They win the lottery or something like that. And after they leave, no one really knows where everything is. And you start piecing it all together, and you realize how much knowledge they actually had. So this is a very powerful tool to make sure that iMIS is documented, if you will. So how do we do it? Well, as usual, we made a user installable product. You install it yourself. You don't need any help, and if you do, you would just call our support, and that'd be included. We made it document the iMIS side of things, and that's your activities, your user-defined windows, including the new panel editor type windows, your business objects, your IQAs, and your reports. Those are what we consider front-end, front-facing iMIS things. But what about the SQL side of things, the back end, if you will? Well, we have the ability to document those as well. The tables, the views, stored procedures, SQL functions. This is really powerful. Your jobs, right? You got to be able to filter or see what's going on with your SQL jobs. There's a lot of people that use iDocument that don't have access to the SQL Server, and so they don't know if the SQL jobs are running, and maybe IT keeps them in the dark, who knows. But there's got to be a way to see if those are running and see what's out there. And then we need to filter all these, right? So if you don't want to see every table in iMIS, you don't want to see every view, and you can filter those. In the end, you got to be able to create some documentation, and with iDocument, you can create HTML or PDF documentation, and then you can store that wherever you might want to, on your wiki, on your intranet, on a server, whatever. It can even be on the iMIS homepage. So what's new for the people that use iDocument? Well, the coolest thing we added was the ability to search all entities, fields, notes via a new search interface on the main window. Turns out we use our own products. We use them at client sites, and as we were using them, we realized, you know, shoot, I got to generate the documentation in order to view it. Excuse me. So as we went to go and check on something, well, if we'd made a bunch of changes, we had to go generate the documentation and then search it. Well, why not just be able to search through iDocument? So we added that ability. People said, love the HTML export. However, I want PDF, because when I send HTML to my end users, they go all crazy. So give me a PDF export option. Got it. The documentation had all your general lookup tables in it. If you have a lot of general lookup tables, all of a sudden the documentation for a user-defined window might span 10 pages. And that just wasn't good, right? We need to see that on 1 or 2 pages. So we've moved all of the general lookup table information to the bottom of the documentation. This was an interesting thing. Once again, I said we use our products. So we're going ahead and documenting fields on the user-defined window, and then we got to go down to the table and put that same documentation in there. Well, that seemed silly. So we created the new ability to synchronize data between the user-defined window and the underlying SQL table. And we made it optional because sometimes you might want the data to be different. We realized we were missing the activity descriptions, so we added those in. Metadata, data within iDocument that you didn't type in. So maybe it says activity type committee, and you want to copy the word committee because you can never remember how many M's and T's it has in it. You couldn't do that with iDocument. Once again, in actually using the product, we realized these things need to be added, so we did it. Believe it or not, that took a long time because the developer said I didn't write it so you could copy the static data. So we had to do that, but that was important because if you create the stuff in a box, you'll never realize what people need to do with it on the real world. This is huge. We've got a bunch of fields out, or stored procedures out there. What job is running that stored procedure? We don't know. And you should know, right? That's why you have iDocument. Well, why can't we help you actually that? So if you have a stored procedure out there, we're going to create a little drop down for you, and it's going to find every job that might call that stored procedure to make your job easier. So I did the play on words there.
Wow, so good.
Yeah, cool. And then finally, we added the job schedule description so that you could see when the job is actually scheduled to run rather than just the wording. And I'll show you that in a minute. In fact, let's see this right now. Okay? So I'm going to fire up iDocument, just like all of our products. I can just run it. It's an installer. Notice there is a full user guide that comes with it when you install it. As you probably noticed, if you have some of our existing products, we have a new login screen. What's going to happen with the next version of iDocument, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, is it's going to self-license. So if you do need to change your number of iMIS users or anything like that, it's going to call back to CSI and get a new license key for you. So one of the challenges we had with our existing products was if you change your number of iMIS users, you need a new license key. Well, that was just silly, so we're getting rid of that. We're making it so it'll self-license. You don't even need to save the license key anymore. We'll keep it for you. We'll send it down to iDocument when you launch it. So I'm in iDocument. This is a true story. I was at a client, and they had a date on one of their records, a certification date, and we were modifying it, and it was changing. They didn't know what was changing, but they knew it was changing. And I said, well, you've got to have a SQL job out there that's changing it. Well, with iDocument, I can do that. I just go up here, I'm going to search on certification, right? And when I type certification, I can see everywhere that appears in my iMIS database. Right here, I can see, yes, there it is. It's my name demo window, and it's the date certified, and it is being updated by a stored procedure called CSI SP Certification Update. I can go right back up to my search now and jump right to that stored procedure by doing that. So we can see right there, CSI SP Certification Update, what it does, how often it's scheduled to run, and what job runs it. This is really powerful when you're trying to figure something out. You don't remember all your iMIS setup. You've had iMIS for many years. So this is super powerful when you're trying to deduce some mystery that's happening in iMIS that you probably were responsible for creating 3 years earlier. So that's really powerful right there. Next thing I'm going to show you, let's just generate the documentation, okay? So when I go out there, as a quick reminder, I can go and generate documentation for my entire iMIS database, or I may just want to create a small subset of documentation. Notice I can go out here and uncheck all of these checkboxes and just create documentation for activity and user windows. Because if I'm handing this to someone in my membership department who wants to create, say, his or her first SSRS report, they really don't need to see my jobs and functions in SQL. As a reminder, by default, it only generates documentation for when you have data entered. Fancy term for that is metadata, data that you might have put in there. And finally, you can create your documentation out here. I'm going to go generate. And it's going to generate this, and it says, hey, you're doing a PDF. It might take a little time. There we go. And now I'm going to save it. So I can go out here and save it as anything I want. I did an iDocument demo this morning, so I'm just going to save it a little different. And this, I love this. I love that we put this in there because I didn't expect it. I expected to save it and then go, crap, where did I save it? Shoot, hope you can blank out that bad word.
I can try.
And I love this because it says, do you want to go ahead and open it? Yeah, I want to open it. Why do you think I just created it? So we say yes. Now I've got my PDF documentation. Just like the HTML, it works the same way. If I needed to jump down to jobs, I can click on jobs, and I'm right down there. I also mentioned that we've added all of our lookup tables to the bottom of it now. So all of those are at the bottom. They're not messing up your data anymore, your windows. Here's my user-defined windows. There's my name demo window. I can see right back there. There's my date certified and how it's being updated. Here's another one populated by company flowdown. And then just what iDocument was always designed to do, gives you a visual representation of what that window looks like. So I can give this to someone now if they're going to write their first Crystal or SSRS report, and they can figure it out. Or if they're going to write their first IQA, they can do it all right using this documentation. Okay, so there's the documentation we created. Let's do one more cool thing. Let's just jump back into the product. Just a quick overview. Remember, the little I means you put in some metadata. That's a fancy term for I've actually added some interesting data in here, so assigned to and whatnot. We talked about the ability to copy and paste non-metadata. That's this now. So if I need to copy source code because I want to search on it, I just can do that. So that's new to the product because before you had to go up here and type source_code or something like that. All of these tell me that I've populated this activity. It tells me when I last updated and who created it in the corner. Very powerful. My user-defined windows, before I go in there, let's look at the new option under Settings. There it is, Synchronize User-Defined Window and Table Metadata. Once you turn that on, any changes to the user-defined window or the table will synchronize between each other, so I can change it on either end. And because I forgot this in this morning's demo, I want to point out you can put your filters in, your default filters up here. You can see I'm only going to show stored procedures that start with CSI, and I'll show you that in a minute. Watch the pause here when I click OK. It's not instant. What it's doing is it's reloading all of the information about iMIS. So there's another tip for you. If you're making changes in iMIS and you have iDocument open, you don't need to close iDocument and reopen it to refresh the changes in iMIS. All you have to do is go on Settings and click OK. It reloads all the underlying iMIS data. So if you've gone and added a new user-defined window or field or table, that's how you bring it back into iDocument without exiting and going back in. So on our user-defined windows, we have our panel editor data. Here's our panel editor windows if you're using Rise. And then here's some sponsor data. Who was their membership sponsor? How about we go out here and we say first and last name of their membership sponsor. So I do something like that under sponsor. I click off that. Notice if I jump down to the tables now and I go to my name demo and then I go to sponsor, it's actually updated the notes here. So that was one of the big enhancements we made so that I can change it here or on the window and it's always going to be the same. We realize some people might not want that, so you can turn that feature off. You can define all of your business objects as well as you move more into using Rise for both your member and your staff site and everything. That's going to be pretty powerful because you're going to be using IQAs, which you can define as well. So you can go into your IQAs and define all those. For clients today, they got a lot of custom reports. Right out of the box, it shows you all of your custom reports. And then if you need to see every report in iMIS, you click that checkbox and they're all there. Here's my account status, and here's my custom report there, but I'm going to show all. Here's account status, and here's all the regular reports. In this case, I've actually gone out there and told people don't use these reports because they're not hidden in iMIS. They're still being shown. I don't want them using that. So I can create an entire set of documentation for my accounting department and say, here are the reports you need to run monthly. And I can do that with iDocument, and then I can go down here and say generate documentation, and I can say I'm just doing it for the accounting department. I don't want them to see any of these things. They'll get crazy if they know what's in iMIS. So we'll just do that, and I could go now and just create reporting documentation. So every custom report in iMIS or every report I've defined data for, I can run right there and then. Okay, back to tables. Remember I talked about filters? You can go down here. So you don't need, iMIS has so many tables now, but you could go out here and change the filter. Here it is, views, same sort of thing, any views you might have. Stored procedures, I'm only showing you the CSI ones. I could go out here and change that and say I want to see other stored procedures. But if you're one of our clients, you have a bunch of stored procs that start with CSI. If you're not one of our clients, you probably have a bunch of stored procs that start with your organization name or your solution provider name. Very easy to go ahead and just say, give me those, because there's probably, I don't know, 500 stored procs in iMIS, and you don't want to go into all of those. SQL functions, if you're into that kind of stuff, they're all out here too. Here's our fiscal period one, kind of tells you what parameters are on there and what it does. And then here's the fun stuff. Here's my jobs. Notice under hourly jobs, we've added schedule name and schedule description. You could see that this job has not run since 4/21/2015. Do you know why? It hasn't run because there's no schedule for it, okay? So even though the job is called hourly jobs, no one scheduled it on the SQL server. This is incredibly powerful to allow an end user to see, are my jobs running? When was the last time they ran? Or did they fail, right? So here's my nightly job. It failed. What happened? Why didn't it run, okay? We always recommend that clients set up SQL to notify someone when a job fails or succeeds. Fact is, even that part can fail. So this is a great way to go and see, are my jobs running? And you don't have to have access to your SQL server or anything like that. It'll go do it for you. One thing I didn't show that we did talk briefly about, remember it was that on that, if we want to find, say, a stored proc, my certification update, that's where this is now going to pre-populate. It's going to go out there and it sees that, oh, it's actually being run by this job. So we've added that as well to iDocument to make the run by much easier, because otherwise it was a lot of work to put this all together. So that's done. All I wanted to show you some really cool stuff there. So you should be on 2.10. Ignore the last 4 numbers. Those numbers are put on because we do a lot of internal builds and we need to increment that, but we're really not fixing anything yet. We're testing it. We have a full QA department and they do documentation as well, and we want to make sure that it's all good to go. And so when QA sends something back to development and says this didn't work right, they're going to generate another version of iDocument that's going to have a different third number there. Don't worry about that number. What you really care about is the 2.10, and that's our current version. And if you go to log in, you can see we're putting that right on the login screen, and that was a request by customers last year, so we're adding that to our new login screen. And then you can also, if you're in iDocument, just go to Help About, and it'll give you the version. So to get it, you go to our website and you click on login. That looks like that. It was a lot of fun this morning. Our website was down. We were doing an upgrade. We forgot to put a notice up. So hopefully our website's back up, Zach.
Yep.
So you can get this. If you don't have your license key, go ahead and just email sales@csiinc.com and they'll get that for you. I do want to point out, and it's on another slide, excuse me, you're not going to need that license key in the future. We'll talk about that in a minute. Sorry, I said license key. I meant login, my bad. If you forgot your login to our website, just email sales@csiinc.com and they will get you your login. Getting a little ahead of myself. You're going to scroll down to your product releases. Here you'll see every product that you own and are current on your software update fee. Drop on down to iDocument. There it is. Open up the file, and I like to save it onto my computer. I have a directory called Erase Me that's on my computer. It's all sorts of stuff that I don't need, but I don't want to forget where I saved it. Nothing worse, just like we talked about with iDocument, than saving something and forgetting where you saved it. So I save everything to Erase Me. I know I can erase that directory at any time. And most importantly, once it's saved out there, run it as administrator to install. That ensures that you have the proper permissions to install it. It should be user installable, except in order to see those SQL jobs and statuses, you're going to need your SA username and password or something equivalent. You only need it once. So if you don't have access to that and you don't know what I'm talking about, you can talk to your IT person or solution provider, and they can either provide it for you, or just like at the supermarket when someone's under 18 running, or under 21 running the checkout, you can have someone come in and just type it in for you. Once it's been typed in, it's thrown away. It just grants iDocument access to your SQL jobs. You will need your license key. That's what I was talking about before. I'm sorry, getting ahead of myself late in the day here in the States. And you can email sales as well. You're not going to have to worry about that with the next version of iDocument. All of our products are moving to a self-licensed model where they will call CSI with your permission, get your license key, and automatically install it for you. If you get stuck, please take a moment to read the manual. Spend a lot of time on our manuals. They're not perfect. If you see an issue, please let us know. But we really, really do spend a lot of time. So take a look at the manual, and if you don't find what you're looking for, then go ahead and email support@csiinc.com. Once you do that, give us as much information as you can. Please don't just say iDocument is broken or I can't get it to run. If it's possible, give us a screenshot. That just speaks a million words. Give us a screenshot. I was trying to run iDocument. I was trying to generate user documentation. I had unselected everything except reports. I got this error. Here's a screenshot of before and after. That will help out tremendously. Our support turns around calls within 2 business days. Normally quicker, but sometimes it can get a little crazy. If you're really in a bind, you can submit the ticket and then call, and we'll try and get you some immediate support. But please don't submit a ticket and then send me a personal email saying I sent a ticket in 10 minutes ago. What's going on? Because there is a queue, and the items are addressed in the order they come in. If you're using iDocument, which you probably are if you're on this webinar, and you want it to do something new, or it's not doing something you thought it did, or you've got a great idea, email support@csiinc.com. All requests for enhancements, they go into a queue. They're looked at once a month. Many are approved, some aren't. You know, we look at a couple different things. How many people have requested it? Is it a good idea? Is it something that works for everyone? So if a request comes in, it's so unique to your organization, we're probably not going to add it to the product. But if it's something that, gosh, that just makes sense, and it makes sense for everyone, we probably will add it to the product. Are we going to have more events like this? You bet. csiinc.com/webinars. We do one for our products all the time because we want you to know how to use them and whatnot. We have had other events like this, same URL, csiinc.com/webinars. If you like what you saw and you knew about it, but gosh, darn it, Doug, you do such a great job, then you can go to csiinc.com, and if you look at iDocument, there's a webinar. I think Zach did that one. And then this one's going to be recorded right out there on that webinar one as well. And I'm losing my voice, fighting a cold. So, any questions out there? All right. Okay, That's not a question. They love the new search feature. That's cool. Thank you so much. That was, like I said, a little bit of time. Pretty excited about that. Any other? No, I'm not seeing any more questions. All right, we had a lot more this morning, so that makes it easy. I want to thank you guys all for attending. I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me directly, and we will address that as well. So thanks again for joining, and we will talk to you later.